Hi and welcome to another video. So we are starting a new week, so it's time to film another video, and this video is going to be about challenges. Now when someone trespasses on your site or breaks into your site, you have to challenge them. Now it's not always straightforward. The way in which you train is normally quite straightforward, but I'm just going to go through the challenges that I shout, the reason that I shout them, and then obviously there's different ways that you can interpret it with body language and why that could be quite important. If something was to happen, that maybe body language could get you out of getting into trouble with the law, with the possibility of you serving time and maybe your dog getting put down. So when would I shout these challenges? So these challenges are if someone trespasses on site, someone breaks in, or I feel like the dog has detected on someone being on site. So it's not necessarily that I've seen them, it's maybe a body language of the dog has changed that makes me think that someone's on site. Now 95 times out of 100 the dog's going to detect on rabbits, foxes, badgers, you name it. It's going to be different, it's not always going to be a person. But basically what these challenges are is that they're to announce that I'm here, and they're to announce that who's on site and give them the chance to give themselves up before we have to go through the whole thing of finding them with the dog. And the first challenge I shout is security dog and handler, I know you're out there, show yourself. So that announces that me and the dog are there, giving them a chance to give themselves up. Now it's very important, I know it's very important for them that security dog is involved in the shout, so the trespasser or the person that's broken in understands that straight away that there's a dog on site. The second challenge is security dog and handler. If you're injured or need assistance, let me know and I will get you some. Now that is obviously if someone's injured and they can't show themselves, you give them a chance to shout out to say I'm injured, I can't move, and then obviously we will go and find them. Now this is very important that you, even if you go to someone and they say that they're injured, unless it's obvious that it's life-threatening, you ask them what is wrong, but you never tie your dog up and go and help them unless it's like life-threatening and you can see that they're not kidding around, because the last thing you want to do is tie your dog up, go over to help them and then get it round the back of the head with a hammer. And this does happen. I'm not saying it's happened to anyone I know, but it is something that happens, and at the end of the day these thieves or whoever it is, they know loads of different tricks, and sometimes it's up to you to realise what's going on. So if someone is injured and they say they're injured, find them, give yourself some distance, find out what the injury is, call an ambulance if they need it, and go from there. So the third challenge is security dog and handler. If my dog finds you, stand still and you will not be harmed. So that is you announcing to the person that we're going to find you, and when we find you, stand still, don't run at us, don't approach us, don't run off. Whenever we find you, just stand still and you won't be harmed. So that announces to the person that, okay, when they find me, if I just stay where I am, then nothing's going to happen. If I try and charge them, then that sounds like I'm actually going to get hurt, obviously using the dog. So that's because the dog is their main worry. The fourth challenge is security dog and handler. This is your last chance or I'll send the dog. So this just announces to the person on site that it's their last chance to give themselves up, otherwise the dog's going to be sent and we are going to find you. And if we do find you, stand still. And then the last challenge that I would shout would be sending the dog. So that just announces to the person that the dog's been sent, and if they are hiding, prepare for the dog to come and find you, and prepared for us to turn up at any which direction, because the dog will find you on any scent. It may be air scent, it may be scent that you've left on the floor, so we will find you and the dog has been sent to come and get you. And the most important part of these challenges, obviously other than notifying the person on site that the dog's there and you've sent the dog to come and find them, one of the most important parts of this is that A, it draws attention, which is going to happen, but if something was to happen and the police went over to witnesses and they asked what happened, with you shouting challenges, the first thing that these eyewitnesses are going to say is, oh, the first thing I heard was him shouting when he was walking across, telling the person to show themselves. He was shouting security dog and handler. He was shouting that if the dog finds you to stand still, he shouted that he was sending the dog to come and find them. So a lot of this is kind of covering your back, but one of the most important things is that if there are witnesses around, that when the police speak to the witnesses, is that they have your back straight away, saying no, he wasn't the aggressor, he was the one shouting, telling them to show themselves, telling them to stand still, telling them that they're sending the dog. So although you're shouting challenges in order to do it, it also can be very good for you with witnesses that help the police to kind of look after you. So after we've shouted our challenges to the intruder and we've found them on site, now they may challenge us, so they may be threatening to us or whatever it is, and we have to continue with challenges, telling them to stand still, telling them don't approach the dog. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my makeshift intruder here, and I'm just going to walk my dog over there, and then I'm going to show you how quickly my dog switches on because I shouted security dog and handler.
Security dog handler! Security dog handler! Now you out there, show yourself! Now you out there, show yourself!
Where is he? Find him! Find him! Find him! Where is he? Where is he? Find him! Find him! Got him? Good lad! Right, so there's an example of shouting the challenges. Now, not only does it let the person know that we know they're out there and the dog's coming, but also what it does is it triggers the dog in. Now, I don't obviously get a lot of time to do that around here, but you can tell normally when I do this my dog doesn't bark, but now I've kind of turned him on to, hold on, something's going on here. Now obviously we found the bite sleeve, but it's also with these challenges is it kind of triggers the dog into something's going on. Now just you raising your voice, and what I've got it down to is when I shout security dog and handler, the dog thinks, oh hold on, something's going on. Wasn't ideal that he come back to me first, but as soon as I said find him, bang, we was on it, and he was off. He pulled me and then went, hold on, there's a smell over there, and we found the bite sleeve. So not only are you letting the other person know that the dog's on site and we're coming for you, but that also that it triggers the dog into thinking, hold on, something's going on here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you two different kind of confronting of trespassers or people that have broken into site. I'm going to do it two different ways, and I'm going to play it with no sound, and there's a reason for it, and I just want you to have a look and just try and work out what the two differences are in between the two and why I would do one and I wouldn't do the other. Now you may be wondering, why did I play that with no sound? So the reason that I played that with no sound is it's body language. So the first one, you see me come up, the dog's out there barking, I'm holding on, making sure I don't let go of the dog, and the dog's barking, and then use your imagination, the intruder comes forwards and the dog protects me. The second one, you see how my hand gesture of stay back, don't approach the dog, stand back. You can see that maybe if something like that was to happen and it went to court and it was our word against his, that something like this as a CCTV camera with no sound, how that would work in your favour, that you was telling him to stand back, not to approach you. So that's just a view from a CCTV camera with no sound, and how body language can get you out of trouble. If it was his word against ours, if you watched the first one, if it was his word against ours and he said no, he didn't tell me not to approach, then obviously it'll be my fault, or it'll be back on me. But also what you got to think about is that maybe the person that's approaching you is deaf. So using hand actions, and if it went to court and they said, well, did you know he was deaf? You say no, then obviously he didn't hear you. So using body language and hand actions of telling someone to stand back, don't approach, it can get you out of a lot of trouble. But also, let's think about it. So in terms of, say, witnesses and that, if there's people that are a fair distance away and can't really hear what's going on, but if they're witnesses and they go to the police and they ask what happened, if they turn around and say, no, what I saw is that the guy with the dog was standing there with his hand out telling him to stop, you can see how a witness can help you out as well. So it's not so much just for CCTV, it's also for witnesses. The dog is put to work in order to protect me. You can see how a lot of people will get their phones out, a lot of people will record what's going on. We live in a world where cameras are on people's phones, cameras are everywhere. So what you want to do is also use, like I say, hand gestures and body language, so that if the sound isn't caught on someone's phone as a witness, body language can get you out as well. So that's the end of the video. So hopefully you've got something out of this. I'd say the two most important things from my side is that if you are shouting challenges, make sure that you shout them so that the person can definitely hear you. If witnesses are around, they can hear you shouting as well, because like I say, that could help you if the police ask them about what happened. And also with the challenges, when someone is challenging you, that you use body language as a good way of communicating to someone, because like I say, if it's CCTV without sound and it's your word against theirs, if you're using body language, it can get you out of a lot of sticky situations. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, also subscribe for loads more videos, and I'll see you again in the next one. Cheers for watching, see you later, bye. Secure dog handler, just going to go out and do a routine patrol.
Keep me informed of any incidents. Over.
Copy, over. Secure dog handler! No, you're out there, show yourself! Secure dog handler! If you're injured or need assistance, let me know, and I'll get you some. Secure dog handler! My dog finds you, stand still, you won't be harmed. Secure dog handler! Last chance, I'll send the dog. Send in the dog. Find him, Coop, where is he? Find him! Find him, where is he? Find him! Oh. Stand still! Let me see your hands! Watch him, Coop! Let me see your hands! Good boy, well done, Coop. Well done, mate. Oh, well done. Secure dog handler, found one bloke on site. Wasn't any threat, he's been escorted off site.
Okay, received, over.